The 7 people Stoicism says are draining your energy and how to spot them. Imagine this. You're walking into your day, carrying nothing but your thoughts and intentions. You've planned everything, your tasks, your goals, even the mindset you'll hold through challenges. But by the time evening rolls around, you feel drained, scattered, and unsure where your energy even went. It's as if unseen hands have been siphoning your strength all day. What if I told you those hands belong to specific types of people, and that Stoicism, this ancient, timeless philosophy, has already identified them for us? Now, here's the real question. What would your life look like if you stopped letting these people drain your energy? Let's journey together and find out. Stoicism teaches us that the most powerful resource we possess is our energy, our mental clarity. Emotional resilience and will to act is not something you can afford to waste. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor and Stoic philosopher, said it best: "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." Yet, most of us spend this finite energy on people who erode our peace, leaving us feeling powerless. Who are these people? How do we recognize them? And most importantly, how do we protect ourselves? Let's uncover the first of these 7 types. The first group is the perpetual victims. You know, the ones they believe the universe has conspired against them. Every inconvenience is a catastrophe. Every problem is someone else's fault, and they invite you to carry their burdens as if it's your job. Now, empathy is essential, but the Stoics remind us to draw a line. Epictetus said, "We are disturbed not by things, but by the views we take of them." If you constantly absorb their worldview, you begin to see life through their lens, heavy, hopeless, and draining. Ask yourself, are you enabling their victimhood, or are you encouraging their growth? Because there's a fine line between being compassionate and being consumed. The next time you encounter someone who thrives on drama, pause. Don't engage with their emotional chaos. Observe it. Marcus Aurelius urged us to look at things as they are, not as they're dramatized. What if, instead of reacting to their negativity, you offered them a chance to rise above it? Then, there's the chronic complainer. They're like the perpetual victim's cousin, always dissatisfied, always finding fault. Life, to them, is a constant parade of inconveniences. The weather's too hot, the coffee's too cold, and no effort, no matter how thoughtful, is ever enough. Complaining is contagious, and before you know it, you're echoing their dissatisfaction with your own life. The Stoics warn against this because it takes you away from what truly matters, your own response to circumstances. Think about this. Are their complaints reshaping your gratitude? If so, you need to fortify your mind. Epictetus reminds us, don't explain your philosophy, embody it. The next time someone complains about trivialities, respond by embodying appreciation. Let them see what it looks like to find joy in the moment. Even when it's imperfect, that's the kind of energy worth sharing. The third group, the manipulative charmer. They seem harmless at first, flattering you, building you up, making you feel special. But their intentions aren't pure. They aim to control you, to make you serve their agenda, often at the cost of your own values and energy. Manipulation thrives on your fear of rejection, your desire for approval, and your willingness to please. Seneca wrote, "Associate with people who are likely to improve you." So, ask yourself, is this person bringing out your best self, or are they subtly bending you to their will? True friends inspire your growth. Manipulators stunt it. The moment you recognize their tactics, reclaim your autonomy. Don't seek their validation, seek your truth. Next, we meet the unyielding cynic. These are the people who dismiss every idea, every dream, every glimmer of hope. To them, optimism is naive, and passion is pointless. They'll mock your aspirations, not out of malice, but out of their own unresolved fears. And if you let their negativity seep into your soul, you'll start doubting your own capacity for greatness. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." Cynics see obstacles as dead ends. Stoics see them as opportunities. The next time you encounter a cynic, challenge their worldview not by arguing, but by living boldly. Let your actions demonstrate what's possible when you refuse to be limited by fear. And now, let's address the gossip monger. They thrive on tearing others down, spreading half-truths, and turning private matters into public scandals. Engaging with gossip might feel harmless, even entertaining, but the Stoics caution us against it. Why? Because it diverts our focus from our own development. Epictetus said, "If you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid." What he meant is this: let others waste their energy on petty talk while you channel yours into meaningful action. Think about the last time you indulged in gossip. Did it uplift you? Did it bring clarity or purpose to your day? Or did it leave you feeling hollow, complicit in something small and unworthy? The choice to engage or abstain defines the strength of your character. Then there's the relentless critic. Unlike the cynic, whose negativity is generalized, the critic targets you directly. They dissect your choices, your ideas, even your appearance. Some critics believe they're helping, while others simply project their insecurities onto you. Either way, their words can plant seeds of self-doubt if you're not vigilant. Seneca reminds us, as long as you live, keep learning how to live. Critics can be teachers, but only if you approach them with discernment. When criticized, ask yourself, is there truth here I can learn from, or is this noise I need to discard? Your energy is too precious to waste on unfounded opinions. Finally, we confront the time thief. This is the person who demands your attention without offering anything meaningful in return. They interrupt, they distract, and they derail your focus with their trivialities. In a world where our time is finite, Stoicism urges us to guard it fiercely. Marcus Aurelius said, "You could be good today, but instead, you choose tomorrow." Time thieves tempt you into believing you'll always have more time. But the truth is, every moment spent frivolously is a moment stolen from your purpose. Here's a question. How many of your days have been lost to distractions that weren't even yours? And how would your life change if you reclaimed that time? Each of these 7 types is a mirror, reflecting not only their own weaknesses, but also the areas where we might be vulnerable. As we recognize them, we also recognize the power within ourselves to set boundaries, to act with intention, and to protect our energy. This is the essence of Stoicism, mastering ourselves so that no one else can master us. But what if there's an 8th type, one that's not as obvious but equally draining? Would you be able to spot it in time? Let's dive deeper into this unseen challenge in the next part. The invisible 8th. How the Stoics help us spot what even we miss. If you've come this far, you're already sharpening your perception. You've begun to see the people who drain your energy for what they are: patterns that, when left unchecked, can rob you of your vitality and focus. But Stoicism asks us to go even deeper, beyond the obvious culprits. There exists another type of energy drain, one so subtle, so camouflaged, that we often fail to notice it until we're exhausted. To understand this hidden enemy, we must first turn inward. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." What if the most insidious energy drainer isn't a person, but an internal condition, a mental habit we nurture, unaware of its slow erosion? Let's explore this unseen 8th type together. The 8th type isn't a person at all. It's the unchecked inner critic. Unlike the relentless critic who targets you from the outside, this voice comes from within. It whispers doubts in your quietest moments, magnifies your mistakes, and convinces you that you're never enough. This inner critic thrives on comparison. It looks at other successes and turns them into reasons for your inadequacy. But here's the irony. The Stoics knew that this voice is both a foe and a friend, depending on how you respond. Epictetus said, "First, say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do." What if you could redirect this critical voice into a constructive one? The next time you hear it whispering, ask, is this criticism helping me grow, or is it simply tearing me down? By reframing the inner critic, you transform it from a drain into a source of clarity. Let's return now to the external world and revisit the 7 types we've uncovered. Here's something profound. Each of these types reveals not only the faults of others, but also the vulnerabilities within ourselves. The Stoics believed in the interconnectedness of all human behavior. If you're constantly encountering the perpetual victim, for instance, ask yourself, do I struggle with boundaries? Am I taking on burdens that aren't mine to carry? Marcus Aurelius reminds us, waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. This principle applies to every type we've discussed. The chronic complainer invites us to reflect on our gratitude. The manipulative charmer exposes where we seek external validation. The unyielding cynic challenges us to stand firm in our optimism. Each energy drainer becomes a test, a chance to apply the Stoic virtues of wisdom, courage, temperance, and justice. Here's a question to sit with. What would happen if you stopped trying to change these people and instead focused entirely on your own growth? This isn't about giving up on others. It's about recognizing that the only person you can truly control is yourself. Epictetus said, "It is not events that disturb people, but their judgments about them." If you can master your judgments, you can remain unshaken, no matter who you encounter. This brings us to an essential practice in Stoicism, the dichotomy of control. Simply put, this is the distinction between what you can control and what you cannot. The Stoics urge us to invest our energy solely in the former. Let's apply this principle to each of the energy drainers. For example, when faced with a time thief, you cannot control their interruptions, but you can control your response. Perhaps that means setting firmer boundaries or even stepping away from the relationship. With the Gossip Monger, you can't stop their chatter, but you can choose not to participate. By focusing on what's within your power, you can conserve energy and reclaim agency. At this point, you might wonder, isn't this approach isolating? If we're always guarding our energy, aren't we cutting ourselves off from connection? This is where the Stoic concept of Sympathia comes into play. Sympathia is the understanding that we are all part of a greater whole. It reminds us that while we must protect our energy, we also have a responsibility to uplift others. The key is balance. You can show compassion to the perpetual victim without being consumed by their problems. You can listen to the complainer without echoing their dissatisfaction. You can even engage with the cynic, not to change their mind, but to reinforce your own. Sympathia doesn't mean sacrificing your well-being for others. It means acting from a place of strength and clarity, so your presence becomes a source of light rather than a shadow. Let's pause here for a thought experiment. Imagine you're sitting across from Marcus Aurelius himself. He looks at you and asks, "What have you done today to master your mind?" How would you answer him? Could you point to moments where you guarded your energy, where you chose courage over fear, wisdom over impulse, and temperance over indulgence? Or would you find yourself fumbling for an explanation, realizing how much of your day was spent on the wrong things? This isn't meant to shame you. It's an invitation to reflect, to recalibrate, and to act with intention. The Stoics believe that every day is a new opportunity to align with your values. No matter how much energy you've lost in the past, you can always start anew. In the next part, we'll dive into the ultimate Stoic tools for protecting your energy, practical strategies you can implement immediately, rooted in ancient wisdom but tailored for the modern world. These tools aren't just for dealing with the 7 people and the hidden 8th. They're for navigating every relationship, challenge, and decision you encounter. What would it feel like to wake up each day knowing your energy is protected? Your mind is clear, and your actions are aligned with your purpose. Let's explore this together in the final part. The final shield, Stoic tools to protect your energy in a chaotic world. Now that we've unmasked the 7 energy drainers and the hidden 8th, it's time to equip ourselves with tools to guard against their influence. Stoicism isn't about shutting yourself off from the world. It's about living in it with resilience, clarity, and purpose. Marcus Aurelius called this living according to nature, embracing life's complexities while staying rooted in your principles. Let's explore the practical strategies Stoicism offers for protecting your energy. Starting today, the first tool is the Dichotomy of Control, which we touched on earlier, but now expand into a daily practice. Here's how it works. Every time you encounter an energy-draining person, pause and ask yourself 2 questions. First, what about this situation is within my control? Second, what is beyond my control? By doing this, you immediately shift from reaction to reflection. For example, when dealing with a chronic complainer, you can't control their negativity, but you can control whether you listen, how you respond, and what energy you allow them to take. This clarity transforms frustration into empowerment. Here's a challenge. The next time someone frustrates you, resist the urge to react immediately. Instead, breathe, observe, and decide. How much of your energy do they truly deserve? What would happen if you chose silence over engagement, peace over friction? The second tool is negative visualization. This is the Stoic practice of imagining worst-case scenarios to build resilience and gratitude. First, it might seem counterintuitive. Why think about negative outcomes? But consider this when you prepare your mind for adversity. You make yourself less vulnerable to energy drainers. For example, if you visualize a meeting where the manipulative charmer tries to sway you, you can rehearse your boundaries beforehand. When the moment comes, their charm has no power because you've already anticipated it. Negative visualization isn't about pessimism, it's about readiness. When you picture life's challenges, you learn to see them not as threats, but as opportunities to grow. And when you rehearse gratitude for what you already have, you fortify your energy against external forces. Next, we have mindful detachment, the art of stepping back from your emotions to observe them without judgment. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Mindful detachment allows you to pause before emotions like anger, frustration, or sadness take over. Let's say you're confronted by a relentless critic who picks apart your work. Instead of internalizing their words, step back and view the situation as if you're an outsider. Ask, is this critique valuable, or is it noise I can discard? This small pause creates space for wisdom to emerge. Try this exercise. The next time you feel an emotional reaction rising, label it. Say, this is anger or this is frustration. Naming the emotion diminishes its power and helps you respond from a place of reason, not impulse. Another essential tool is setting boundaries with clarity. The Stoics valued honesty and directness, not as weapons, but as shields. When dealing with energy drainers, boundaries are your first line of defense. For example, if a gossip monger tries to draw you into their chatter, you can say, I'd rather focus on something constructive. This isn't rude, it's respectful to both them and yourself. Here's a question. How many of your relationships lack clear boundaries? And how would your life change if you established them today? Remember, boundaries aren't walls, they're gates. They protect your energy while allowing meaningful connections to thrive. Stoicism also teaches us the power of journaling for reflection. Marcus Aurelius. Meditations is essentially a journal, a place where he reflected on his thoughts, actions, and challenges. Journaling helps you process encounters with energy drainers, identify patterns, and refine your responses. Each evening, take 5 minutes to ask yourself, what drained my energy today? How did I handle it? What can I do differently tomorrow? Over time, these reflections become a guide for living with greater intentionality. If you're skeptical, consider this. What's the cost of not reflecting? Without awareness, you repeat the same mistakes, letting the same people drain you. Journaling isn't just a practice, it's a declaration of your commitment to growth. Let's explore one of the most profound Stoic tools, voluntary discomfort. This involves intentionally stepping into challenging situations to build resilience. Why? Because when you train yourself to endure discomfort, energy drainers lose their power over you. For example, if you practice silence for a day, you'll find it easier to disengage from the perpetual victim's endless complaints. If you endure physical challenges like cold showers or fasting, the unyielding cynic's negativity feels insignificant by comparison. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Voluntary discomfort reveals just how much strength you already possess, making you less susceptible to external drains. Now, let's talk about Sympathia, the Stoic practice of seeing ourselves as part of a greater whole. When you recognize that even energy drainers are struggling with their own challenges, it becomes easier to approach them with compassion rather than frustration. This doesn't mean tolerating their behavior. It means understanding it without letting it consume you. Imagine this. What if you viewed the chronic complainer not as a nuisance, but as a mirror, reflecting the parts of yourself that need more gratitude? What if you saw the manipulative charmer as a lesson in self-trust? By reframing your perspective, you turn every encounter into an opportunity for growth. Finally, we come to the Stoic dichotomy of choice. This is the idea that every situation presents 3 choices: accept it, change it, or leave it. When dealing with energy drainers, this framework becomes a compass. If you can accept their behavior without losing your peace, do so. If you can influence them for the better, try. And if neither is possible, leave the situation without guilt. Think about a relationship in your life that drains you. Have you been trying to change what you should accept or clinging to what you should leave? The Stoics remind us that clarity of choice is the foundation of a peaceful life. As we conclude, let's reflect on a question that cuts to the heart of Stoicism. Are you the master of your energy, or are you letting others master it for you? This isn't a rhetorical question, it's an invitation to action. Every tool we've discussed, from the dichotomy of control to Sympathia, is a step toward reclaiming your power. Remember, the goal of Stoicism isn't to eliminate challenges or difficult people. It's to navigate them with grace, courage, and wisdom. When you protect your energy, you don't just improve your own life. You become of strength for others. And in doing so, you embody the very essence of Stoic philosophy, living in harmony with yourself and the world. Now, what will you do with this wisdom? How will you protect your energy? Starting today, as Marcus Aurelius might say, the time is now. Let your actions reflect the person you aspire to be.